Mumbai, 1993. A normal Friday afternoon. People were working. Traffic filled the streets. The city was alive. Then, the explosions began. One bomb, then another, then another. In less than 3 hours, 257 people were dead. More than 1,400 were injured. Smoke swallowed the skyline. Panic consumed the streets. And investigators kept hearing the same name: Dawood Ibrahim. A poor teenager from the crowded lanes of Dongri, who rose from street crime to become the most feared gangster in India. He controlled smuggling networks, Bollywood connections, international syndicates, and according to intelligence reports, he may have operated under the protection of powerful forces beyond India's borders. For decades, police hunted him. Governments demanded him. The world sanctioned him. But somehow, nobody could touch him. This is the dark, brutal, untold story of India's most wanted man. The Shadow Dawn. The untold story of Dawood Ibrahim.
For over 30 years, a government of 1 billion people searched for one man. He is responsible for the single deadliest day in Mumbai's history, yet he remains an untouchable global ghost, living in high-security isolation while his empire continues to breathe. His story begins in Dongri, a chaotic, tightly packed enclave in central Mumbai. In the 1950s, this was a neighborhood defined by struggle, where extreme poverty and a bustling black market created a natural training ground for a new generation of ruthless street bosses. In 1974, a 19-year-old Dawood staged a daring takeover. He hijacked a massive cash consignment belonging to Haji Mastan, the reigning king of the city's smuggling trade. It was a move that should have ended with his disappearance. Instead, the local police chief saw an opportunity. Rather than arresting the teenager, he offered protection. The police wanted to use Dawood to fracture Mastan's dominant empire, effectively sanctioning the boy's rise to power. This intervention by the state provided the blueprint for everything that followed. By choosing to use a criminal as a tool of policy, the authorities confirmed to Dawood that the law was not a barrier to be respected, but a resource to be negotiated. Following the murder of his brother in 1981, Dawood ignited a gang war that reshaped the city. He used the chaos to methodically eliminate his rivals, filling the power vacuums with his own loyalists, until he controlled the ports, the streets, and the markets. He called his organization D Company, and he ran it with the cold efficiency of a modern corporation. He established separate departments for extortion, smuggling, and contract killing, ensuring that no single member knew enough to dismantle the entire operation. To evade a murder charge in 1986, Dawood moved his headquarters to the UAE. From this wealthy, international tax haven, he pushed his smuggling routes far beyond the Indian coast, building a logistics network that spanned continents while he lived in a palace. His influence reached deep into the cultural heart of India. Dawood didn't just extort Bollywood, he became its shadow patron. High-profile stars were photographed at his dinner parties in Dubai, while back in Mumbai, hits were ordered on any producer who refused to follow his casting instructions. By the early 90s, the street thief from Dongri had completed his transformation. He was now a corporate sovereign, managing a multi-million-dollar empire from a safe distance, seemingly beyond the reach of Indian law. In December 1992, the demolition of the Babri Masjid Mosque by political extremists fractured India along religious lines. The event sent a shockwave through the country, creating a crisis of identity and security. In Mumbai, the resulting riots turned into a brutal and systematic slaughter. As the Muslim community faced weeks of violence, Dawood faced intense internal pressure to act. His identity as a neighborhood protector was now being tested on a national stage. This was the moment Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI, made its move. They offered Dawood a permanent sanctuary in Karachi for his entire family. In exchange, they wanted full access to his ships, his men, and his knowledge of the Mumbai coast. The deal weaponized Dawood's logistics. Tons of military-grade RDX moved from Pakistan across the Arabian Sea, landing on Indian beaches. These explosives were distributed to local gang members, unwitting pawns in a high-stakes intelligence operation. The intervention of the ISI transformed Dawood. He was no longer just a criminal seeking profit. He had become a proxy weapon of a foreign state, capable of inflicting mass-scale devastation. March 12, 1993, Black Friday. In a span of just 150 minutes, 13 high-intensity bombs detonated across the city of Mumbai. The targets were chosen to cripple the city's financial and commercial nervous system. Devices tore through crowded markets, the Air India building, and the Bombay Stock Exchange, turning the heart of India's economy into a war zone. The human cost was staggering. 257 people were killed instantly, and more than 1,400 injured in the most sophisticated terror attack on Indian soil. The subsequent manhunt moved with speed, quickly uncovering the safe houses and vehicles used in the plot. Every lead and interrogation pointed back to one logistical footprint: the house of Dawood Ibrahim. The bombings permanently fractured the D Company syndicate. Dawood's top lieutenant, Chodhar Rajan, broke away in a violent split, claiming he could no longer stand with a terrorist. The traditional criminal hierarchy of the city was gone. In its place was a new, more dangerous landscape of international terror cells and fractured syndicates, all answering to a man who was no longer in the country. With Dubai no longer safe, Dawood moved to Karachi. He settled into the upscale Clifton neighborhood, living in a fortified compound under the constant watch of the Pakistani intelligence establishment. From this sanctuary, D Company evolved again. The syndicate moved into Afghan heroin trafficking, international real estate laundering, and the mass production of high-quality counterfeit currency designed to destabilize the Indian rupee. Despite Pakistan's official denials, the evidence of his location is public. It exists in the social media posts of his children, the Karachi phone bills registered to his wife, and the verified addresses provided by his own captured associates. He is on every major international watch list, designated a global terrorist by the UN and the United States. Yet despite the sanctions and the red notices, the international community remains powerless to move him. Dawood Ibrahim is more than a fugitive. He is a geopolitical asset, shielded by a nuclear-armed state that finds his networks and his history too valuable to give up. Today, mysteries still hang over his empire. Rumors of his death appear every few years, only to be dismissed. Meanwhile, in Mumbai, his local extortion rackets still take a cut from builders and businesses, managed by those who stayed behind. We still don't know how deep the 1993 conspiracy truly went, or which political and cultural figures in India continued to profit from his syndicate long after he was declared a terrorist. 30 years of dossiers and diplomatic demands have led to a stalemate. Without an extradition treaty, India's meticulously gathered evidence of his crimes serves only as a historical record rather than a tool for prosecution. The man who orchestrated the destruction of Mumbai continues his life in quiet exile. For the families of the 257 victims, the legal system has stopped moving, leaving them with memory but no resolution. This is the reality of modern impunity. When a mass murderer becomes a piece of state leverage, the legal process reaches its limit, and the courtroom remains empty. For Dawood Ibrahim, there is no reckoning, only the lingering shadow of a man the world decided not to catch.